Good morning. Welcome to the Conscious Courage podcast and happy, sing it with me, Motivational Monday. I am your host, Davone'a Tashae, and I meet with you all every Monday at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to provide practical steps toward our inner healing journey, or what I've called, y'all already know, internal glow up. Whether you're a first-time listener or returning, I thank you for joining us. We are grateful to every subscriber. To those who watch via YouTube or listen on streaming platforms like Apple Podcasts or Spotify, y'all are locked in and we are too hyped to have you here. Now, let's dive into today's topic. For the month of May, hold on. Let me say this. Your girl birthday is in May, okay? Y'all clap it up for me. Yes. So the month of May, I'm super excited for. I'm excited for every month, but for the month of May, we are taking a deep dive into attachment styles. We're going to break attachment styles on down. I have a survey, a link I will provide you with at the end of every episode that you can reference. By that way, you can go out, learn your attachment style. Let me say this right now. I did not create the platform. I have no interest in the platform, no stock in the platform. I am not saying that you will now have 100% understanding of who you are, but it is a tool that you can use to enlighten you on how you show up in relationships, why you show up in relationships in that way. And this tool will assist in your understanding toward your healing journey or a greater understanding of self. For those of you who have tuned in via YouTube, you will notice that the plant to my right has changed, and I wanted to display these flowers because they were a gift onto me from my dear little sister. And the card reads, "Congratulations, Sissy, on your podcast. You are truly elevating your higher self and becoming the role model we have needed. Also, happy National Siblings Day. Thank you for all you do and your unwavering support. Love you always." And that's just so sweet and whole and made my heart smile. I love flowers, and it's only right that I display them to give her flowers as well. Thank you, sis. In addition to that, as I mentioned, it's my birthday, so I want to personalize it a little bit. Well, it's not my birthday, but it's my birthday month, okay? Now, let's get into this here topic on understanding attachment styles. Okay, you ready? Get your paper, get your pencils. Let me break this down for you. Attachment in psychology refers to the emotional bond that forms between individuals, typically between infants and their caregiver. So it starts off during that time frame. This bond influences how individuals relate to others throughout their lives. If you remember, we talked about that last month in April on the development and how from the age of 0 to 10, or from conception onto around 9 to 10 years old, a lot of our character, a lot of our roots have already been formed, and it will determine how we show up later on in life. Now, that was juicy all in itself, but you have to go back and listen to that episode. You can find that information on episode 1 of the podcast, in which I take a deep dive and provide some scientific studies that elaborate on the experiences I just mentioned. All right, y'all, back to the current topic at hand. There are 4 attachment styles that identified in psychological studies, and that is secure, anxious-preoccupied, dismissive-avoidant, and fearful-avoidant. Now let's break these down a little more. Secure attachment. Individuals with a secure attachment style feel comfortable with intimacy and are able to trust others. They have positive views of themselves and their relationships. In addition to that, they are able to seek support from their partners when needed. For example, someone with a secure attachment style may have grown up with caregivers who were consistently responsive to their needs, fostering a sense of security and trust in the relationship. I think that's a great nugget, not only for us as adults as we continue to grow and have a greater understanding of who we are, but for those who are parents. And you can take some information away from this, like, okay, if I show up in this way for my child, then this can assist him or her in their growth and their development and showing up in the world in this lighter fashion. Now, there are some other aspects that you have to factor in, like experiences as they continue to grow on through life. But at least with this information and the practical steps, of course, that I will provide later on in the episode, you can use them and place them in your tool belt as necessary and pull them out as necessary. Okay, let's get into this anxious-preoccupied attachment. These individuals with an anxious-preoccupied attachment style often fear rejection and abandonment in relationships. They become overly dependent on their partners and seek consistent reassurance of their worth. For instance, someone with this attachment style may feel anxious when their partner doesn't immediately respond to a text message, interpreting it as a sign of rejection. That sounds like somebody I know. A dismissive-avoidant attachment style. Individuals with a dismissive-avoidant attachment style tend to avoid intimacy and emotional closeness in relationships. Y'all, if you're watching this via YouTube, you will see I did not know I lose my eyes when I'm smiling. Like, thank God for the high cheekbones that he blessed my mother with, and she passed them on down to me. Hallelujah. But baby, I did not know my eyes kind of just go away. All right. So we're getting on into attachment style number 3, the dismissive-avoidant attachment style. Individuals with this attachment style, they tend to avoid intimacy and emotional closeness in relationships. They may prioritize independence and self-reliance, often suppressing their emotions and maintaining a distance from their partners. So, for example, someone with this attachment style may downplay the importance of relationships and prefer to focus on their own interests and goals. Does that sound like someone you know? Do you identify with that? Y'all don't have to put that in the comments. Just posing the question for thought purposes. All right, y'all, we are now in for our fearful-avoidant attachment style. This is attachment style number 4. If you're taking notes, individuals with a fearful-avoidant attachment style, they experience a combination of anxiety as well as the avoidant attachment styles. And when they're in relationships, they may desire closeness with others, but fear getting hurt or rejected. This leads them to They may desire closeness with others, but fear getting hurt or rejected, leading them to oscillate between seeking and avoiding intimacy. All right, oscillate. Let's break that down before I go any further. This is to swing or move to and fro as a pendulum does. Some synonyms of this are to waver, to fluctuate, and this can look like also going to and fro or tossing around, or as the word might say, the word is being double-minded. We don't have that, okay? We're not seeking to be double-minded when we show up in relationships, platonic relationships, friendships, business partnerships, but especially in romantic relationships and with the relationships that we have with ourselves. I don't want to play double dutch in my mind about a decision that I'm trying to make. I want to have that security. So, for instance, y'all, someone with this attachment style may struggle to trust others and may sabotage relationships when they start to feel too vulnerable. There's that double dutch thing going on, or that double-mindedness. That's why we're doing the work. I really pray that this is so good to you, and that at the end, when I provide the information for the survey you can take, you get greater insight into who you are, to those around you. Again, I have no buy-in. I don't receive anything from sharing this information other than knowing, hopefully, that at least one person will go out, take the survey, and have a greater understanding and awareness of who they are. Before shifting into practical steps, y'all know I like to give y'all some practical steps. We will elaborate a little more on identifying attachment patterns and practicing empathy as well as communication. Y'all ready? Identifying attachment patterns. So to identify your attachment patterns, let's start by reflecting on your past relationships and interactions with caregivers during childhood. I would say I'm gonna give y'all some time, but that looks like you should probably take a day or so and a couple of hours to go ahead and put in the work to get this here exercise done. And not just yourself, but invite your family and your friends in as well. Notice any recurring patterns or themes in your behavior and emotions that you can use. An example, y'all, I'm giving you all the stuff in this episode. As I prepared these notes and I'm actively recording, I literally thought, oh my gosh, I need to give them one more tool. And that tool is called a genogram. This is something I've done in undergrad as well as I'm currently completing in certain courses that I'm taking now. And a genogram is a graphic representation of a family tree that displays data on relationships among individuals. So you normally have a family tree and it's like, oh, mom, dad, or grandparents, mom, dad, and then it breaks on out. This here goes a lot more in depth and it will break down not solely, okay, mom, dad, yes, you'll have that, but you can also highlight deaths in the family. You can highlight addictions, whether that is drug addiction, alcohol addiction. You can go as far as highlighting what your relationship looks like with your mother, with your father, with your siblings. Is it broken? Is it linear? Is it bold and confident? Like, it is very telling, not necessarily on the surface, but what's going on the, like, behind the scenes. So look that up as well. That is a genogram. There are templates that are on the internet for free. Y'all use your sound judgment when downloading this information, okay? We don't want you getting spyware, malware, anything of the sort. So use sound judgment, use trusted sources. I don't have a source to provide. Do your research. All right, when going through that, look at any patterns or behaviors and themes that will arise. And that's just another way of getting some more insight. I'm all about understanding. While you are doing this, ask yourself some questions and you can write these down. How do I typically respond to conflict or emotional intimacy in relationships? You can ask yourself, do I tend to seek out closeness with others, or do I prefer to maintain distance? Yes, I did just switch up the way I was sitting on y'all. All right. Don't be distracted. Pay attention. Take notes. What fears or anxieties arise for me in relationships, and how do I cope with them? How do I perceive myself and others in relationships? By gaining this insight into your attachment style, you can begin to understand what shapes you and what influences your reactions and your emotional responses. You also want to, now we're shifting on to another example, and that is practicing empathy. Empathy is an essential for building healthy relationships and understanding others' perspectives as well as emotions. You might be wondering, okay, well, I'm not that much of an empathetic person, so what can I do? I got you. Okay, so some examples on how you can practice empathy. That is paying close attention to what others are saying about, as well as interpreting or judging what you're saying. So validate their feelings as well as their experiences, even if you don't necessarily agree with them. Put yourself in their shoes. That's what empathy is. Try to imagine how other people or how that other person might be feeling and why. Okay. You want to consider their background, their experiences, and also their attachment size in order to empathize with their emotions. Another is having communication and understanding, expressing empathy through your words and actions. Let other people or let that other person know that you see them and that you hear them and that you care about their well-being. Offer support. Be there for the other person in times of need, offering comfort, encouragement, and practical assistance as needed. You want to improve your communication style if you don't really have a style, and you can do this by effective communication, which is the key to resolving conflicts, y'all. Expressing needs and emotions and building that intimacy and relationships. And you might be like, okay, girl, you telling me to improve my communication skills. Can you give me some examples? I can and I will. So y'all ready? Let's go. Be honest and transparent. Speak openly and honestly about your thoughts, feelings, and needs. Avoid hiding or suppressing your emotions, as this can lead to misunderstandings as well as resentment, y'all. Use I statements. I like this. I love saying I. Somehow people, although I might use an I statement, will still turn it around and get offended, but that's on them to figure out. I know that I used I statements. If I say I, and somehow the person I'm speaking to still hears you, or like finger pointing, that's a them thing, okay? Now, so you want to frame your communication in items of your own feelings and experiences rather than placing blame or making accusations. For example, that looks like I feel hurt when, instead of you always or you every time. You know what I mean? The drama. You can practice active listening through listening attentively to what the other person is saying without interrupting or formulating your response in advance. Show genuine interest and empathy in their perspective. What I have developed, or not developed, but something that I say is listen to hear, not listen to respond. More often than not, when you're speaking to someone, especially if it's a topic you are passionate about or they are passionate about, while talking, the person that's on the other side is only listening to respond opposed to listening to hear what the person is saying. And listening to hear them is a form of active listening opposed to forming, okay, this is what I'm going to say next. Like, you didn't hear anything that person just said. You also want to clarify and validate. Repeat back to them what you've heard to ensure understanding and validate the other person's feelings as well as experiences. This demonstrates that you respect and value their perspective, y'all. Okay, so this is what I'm hearing, or this is my interpretation of what you just said, are some examples that I've used, and I just want to throw that out there to give y'all something practical, okay? Be patient as well as compassionate. Recognize that effective communication takes time and effort, especially if this is not your arena. Just give yourself grace, give yourself patience, and also ask the person that you're speaking with to do the same. I mean, nothing wrong with being transparent. You're working on yourself. And guess what? With growth, there is pain. For the men out there, as you were growing up, or at least I've heard one of my siblings is like 6 foot, and that their joints, or that the men's joints, they have pain and what you call growing pains. So in this journey of inner healing, or internal glow up, there are growing pains. So be patient with yourself and ask those around you to do the same. Now, by identifying these attachment patterns and practicing some empathy as well as effective communication, you can cultivate healthier and more fulfilling relationships. Characterized by trust. Love some good trust. Yes, trust. Intimacy as well as an emotional connection. Remember that building secure attachments is an ongoing process, y'all. This entire journey that we're on is ongoing. So be gentle with yourself as you navigate your journey toward greater emotional well-being as well as understanding. And y'all already know that internal glow up. Yep, I switched it up with another pose. Okay, if you're watching this again, don't get distracted by the pose shifts. Focus on the content. If you're listening, I hope that this is so good to you. And although you may not be able to take notes right now because you're at the gym or you're at work or you're en route to work, come back and listen in and take your notes, y'all. We are diving into these practical steps. I love this part because it's practical and you can apply it right after you listen to this. So practical step number 1, reflect on your own attachment style. Take some time to explore your own attachment style by reflecting on your past relationships and patterns of behavior. Consider how your early experiences with caregivers may have influenced your attachment style and how it has manifested in your current relationship or manifested in previous relationships. Here are two sources for you. One source is the survey that I mentioned in the beginning. I will provide you with. Again, I do not have any buy-in, stock, anything. Do your own research. You can simply locate this attachment style guide by going to attachmentproject.com. That's attachmentproject.com. Take the test, take the exam, and then it'll give you some feedback on your attachment styles. The second source I provided you with is called a genogram, Genogram. You can find templates online and use sound judgment when downloading these free tools to ensure you negate any form of malware, y'all. Going on into practical steps 2 and 3. Practical step number 2, you can practice emotional vulnerability by building secure attachment that requires your vulnerability through open communication. So practice expressing your needs and emotions to your partner or your loved ones in a healthy and constructive way. This can help foster trust and intimacy in your relationships. Also, I would encourage whomever is on the receiving side of the individual that is expressing themselves and practicing a greater understanding of their attachment style, that you are receptive to the growth journey that that person is on. All right. Number 3, seek professional support if needed. If you find that your attachment style is causing distress or impacting your relationships, don't hesitate to seek support from a therapist or counselor. They can help you explore your attachment patterns, develop coping strategies, and work toward more secure and fulfilling relationships. And y'all, you thought you were getting out of this episode with the scripture, but I have for you Ecclesiastes chapter 4, verses 9 through 10. 2 are better than 1 because they have a good return for their labor. If either of them falls down, one can help the other up. But pity anyone who falls and has no one to help them up. We're on this journey to get through and get the understanding of our attachment style so that we can show up as our best and most whole self in relationships. Because again, 2 are greater than 1. Remember, understanding attachment styles is just the first step towards building healthier and more fulfilling relationships. By becoming more aware of your own attachment patterns and practicing empathy and communication, you can create stronger relationships with others as well as stronger connections with others and experience greater emotional fulfillment in your life. Okay, y'all, I have a couple announcements for you. I've already mentioned twice before, but who's counting that this month is my birthday month, all right? Whoop, whoop. And I want to share some things. 1, it's my birthday month. 2, the background is going to change. It is time for me to depart from Texas. It's been real. It's been real in more ways than one, and we will get into that during next month as I discuss adversity. But the couch will change, the background will change, the vibes will not. Content will still be fire, will still consist of practical steps, but I just want to prepare you for the visual change. I also have a website, y'all. Yes. I will share that information with you, not in this episode, but by the end of the month, honey, I will have the website information for you. Stay tuned because it might just come up in episode 7 or 8 or 9. To ensure that I just give you the most accurate information in case I change that domain name or something. And what's exciting is you can use that website to learn more about me, but also reach out for what? Hiring purposes. Yes, your girl will be available virtually or for in-person events. If you want me to bring this energy, bring you that internal glow up to you in person, or by way of Zoom or another means of streaming platforms, I will be available and more information to come. So I am super excited about that. All right, y'all, stick around for the outro and then our disclaimer. Take care. Y'all, that concludes this episode. All right. We are in the month of May. As I mentioned, I thank you for tuning in to today's episode of the Conscious Courage podcast. If you enjoyed today's discussion and you want to continue on this journey together, be sure to subscribe to the podcast, leave a review, like, and share with at least 3 to 5 people. I mean, it's only 4 things that I'm asking you to do. You can join us via YouTube every Monday morning at 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you prefer a visual, get your outfit for the month. Or you can join listening in via Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and other streaming platforms. Until next time, stay courageous, conscious, and keep glowing from within. I want to remind you that it takes courage to be conscious, and courage is the key to conscious living. I love y'all, and I will see you next week. Disclaimer. As a content creator with a background in studies of psychology, it's important to clarify that I am not a licensed professional. The videos and podcasts I produce are intended for educational, entertainment, and transformational purposes only. While I strive to provide you with accurate information as well as insights, it is essential that you consult a licensed mental health professional for clinical perspectives and personalized advice tailored to your specific needs. Your mental well-being is of the utmost importance to me, and seeking guidance from a qualified provider is encouraged for any concern or issues that you may be experiencing. Y'all can also lean in on prayer. Okay, take care.